Now, and I'd like to bring up Benedict Adote to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Benedict? Flags over there. See it? Oh, very good.
Say it.
Yeah, sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Great job, Benedict. So I'd like to thank some of this evening's co-sponsors. Queens Community Board 6, Chair Joseph Hennessy and District Manager Frank Blasio. Yeah. Queens Community Board 9, Chair Raj Ramprashad and District Manager Lisa Gomes. The Queens Community House, Mary Abate. All right. The Forest Hills Asian Association, Edwin Wong. The Forest Hills Community Civic Association, Barbara Siskinski. The 112th Precinct Community Council, Heidi Chain. Thank you, Heidi. The Queens Jewish Community Council, Mike Nussbaum. And of course, our host this evening at the Lost Battalion Hall Recreational Center, Angela Ellie, the center manager. So I'd like to bring up some of our special guests who are here this evening to offer brief remarks. Let's start off with our Borough President, Melinda Katz.
Good evening. Can we get a great round of applause for the mayor to come into our town, Mayor de Blasio? You know, I want to thank so many folks. I walked in here today as the borough president. As you know, this used to be my district, and now we are represented ably and talented by Councilwoman Karen Koslowitz in the City Council. And I do want to just thank many of you in this room for our history, although some of you, when I walked in, said, man, you got old. And I was like, you know, it's been a lot of years. It's been about 25 years that many of us in this room have been serving the public together, and I want to thank you for those great years. But tonight, we are here because Councilwoman Koslowitz and Mayor de Blasio are having a town hall meeting because this mayor wants to listen to folks. This mayor wants to make sure that he is responding to community needs. And you know, I always say, he and I don't always agree, but I got to tell you something. He works, he is there. His commissioners are amazing, I got to tell you that. And he delivers on what he promises. And we needed pre-K in the city of New York for generations. This guy got into office, and within a year, we had pre-K in every school, like that. And then he and the governor were paying, who were fighting about who would pay for it. He wanted to pay for it. He wanted to pay for it. It's a great argument to have. We've gotten trailers out of our school system, so our kids are getting back into our schools and out of the trailers in our parking lots. We have more to go, but Mr. Mayor, I have to tell you, the SCA works great with the community, and so we thank you for that. We are working on many projects with the Queens Library together, and I want to thank the mayor for his dedication to the future of the children with the library dedication that he has had as well, and so many things that we've done together. But today is about listening to you. Today's about the right questions, and those questions that we've all been talking about for 20 years, ask him. Get good answers now, because we have a mayor that came to our community, and we want to thank him for that. So Councilwoman Koslowitz, thank you for your advocacy, for your expertise, and Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here tonight. It means a lot to us.
Thank you, Borough President Katz. Next up, I'd like to invite your State Senator Toby Ann Stavitsky.
Welcome home to Queens, to Rego Park.
Thank you.
We thank you for coming. We thank you for bringing the commissioners. I must tell you, your folks in Albany have been very, very active. I can tell you, I just drove down from Albany, and just before I left, there was a finance committee meeting, and one of your folks grabbed a hold of me literally as I was going into the finance committee meeting. They are on the job. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Councilwoman Koslowitz, she lets me call her Karen. We thank you for what you have done in making this community such a wonderful place to live, to work, to do business. And we hope that this continues for many years to come. Let me just mention one aspect. One of the things that has not been done in Albany is the renewal of mayoral control. And we have seen some pretty horrendous bills being introduced in the name of mayoral control. And I plan, if they come up, to vote against all three of them, because to go back to the old system, I think, is a mistake. So I thank you for what you're doing to bring some reform to Albany, bring some transparency to Albany, which is lacking, unfortunately. But I thank everybody for coming, because this is an important town hall event. Really goes back to the days of the founding of our country, the idea of town hall government. And that's what you're doing tonight. You're bringing government back to the people, and for that we thank you.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky.
Thank you for your support.
Next up, I'd like to invite up Assembly Member Andrew Hevesy.
Okay. Good evening. A round of applause if you'd like to hear the shortest speech by a politician ever. I have one message, and it's very simple. The reason why Mayor de Blasio is very successful is because he does like the rest of us do and listens to Karen Koslowitz. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And next up, I'd like to bring in here Assemblymember David Wetbrin.
Thank you. I'm in a neighboring district, but I represent parts of Kew Gardens, Richmond Hill. We have two offices, one in Fresh Meadows and one in Richmond Hill. But I want to tell you, this administration has been the most responsive, working very closely with every elected official here in Queens. And I have a new assignment in Albany this year as head of the Corrections Committee, and working very closely with the mayor to make Rikers Island safer and more responsive, to reduce the population, to reform the criminal justice system. We're going to be getting a renewal of mayoral control. We're going to be fighting, and I know this is not a political event, but for that and many, many other reasons, I'm very proud to support Mayor de Blasio for re-election.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wetbrin. And last but not least, I'd like to invite up your council member, Karen Koslowitz.
Thank you. I am so thrilled tonight to have the mayor come to Rego Park, Forest Hills, Kew Gardens, and Richmond Hill, the 29th Council District, which we all live in. And we're here tonight to be able to ask questions. We're lucky to have Mayor de Blasio because he has done so many things for us. Lots of the things you take for granted, but we do not take anything here for granted, and I am forever grateful to you for what you have given to our community. I have to read the list because there's too many great things. Expansion of universal pre-K. I wish it happened when my kids were little. I had to pay for nursery school. Safety improvements to our major roadways. If you're riding down Queens Boulevard now, you see it has been repaved. It's wonderful. And they're continuing to repave it. And it will be a great place for all of us to cross and be safe. Crime is at an all-time low throughout the entire city of New York. You know, people have to get to and from work, and especially in the Rockaways. And they have one train that they take. We're not in the Rockaways, but the mayor has just put in ferry service in the Rockaway and to help the people of the Rockaways. He's also put ferry service into, I don't have it, New South Brooklyn. He put ferry service into Astoria. Ferry service is coming. Lower East Side, and to my old neighborhood in the Bronx, Soundview. I grew up in Soundview, and I left Soundview to come to Forest Hills when I was 20 years old. I raised my family in Forest Hills, and I'm living here 55 years. I think I just told all of you my age. Also, improving working conditions for men and women throughout our great city. Expansion of affordable housing initiatives, which is all important for all of us. And also standing up to Donald Trump. We're all in it, and we all have to stick together to tell Donald Trump, get out of my town. As I said before, he's not my president. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our wonderful mayor, the mayor of the city of New York, who is going to be our mayor again for 4 more years, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Well, first of all, I was very impressed that Karen Koslowitz, when she was about to say something about Donald Trump, I thought she was going somewhere else with it. And she kept it very clean. It's a family show, Karen. You kept it clean there. First, I want to say to everyone, I want to talk about your council member. I want you to know what it's like to see her in action defending this community's interests. But I have to first talk about all of you. Because, you know, the point that was made by Toby, this is reminiscent of the original democracy of this country, the town hall meeting. And everyone who comes out here, no one had to be here. Everyone in this room is a busy person. Everyone in this room has plenty to occupy your time. And most of us have way too much to occupy our time. And yet, you came here to ask the right questions, the tough questions, the questions about the everyday life of your neighborhood. And I really admire that and I appreciate that. I have done many, many town hall meetings. And the questions I hear at town hall meetings are oftentimes the things that give me the guidance I need to know the changes we have to make in this city. And you know, there's all sorts of issues that are on the front pages, but what I find all the time is the questions that I hear at town hall meetings are about everyday people's lives, the kitchen table issues, the bread and butter issues, the things that really affect your quality of life. You have every right to ask your mayor those questions and get a straight answer. Now, let me tell you, I think a lot of times we'll agree, sometimes we don't agree, even in a town hall meeting. But I try very hard to tell you exactly what I'm thinking, what I can do if I can do something. If I can't do something or I can't do all of it, I'll be straightforward with you. But I admire and I appreciate that everyone's here. Hundreds of people who care about the community enough to give your evening over to this exercise in democracy. So give yourselves a round of applause. Now, you're a council member behind that pleasant exterior. She can be tough when she needs to be. And she drives a very hard bargain. And I got to tell you, she has won the respect of everyone in my administration. She's been a real partner in serious work we've done together in the council. But she's also tough and demanding for the neighborhood she serves. That is a very powerful combination. When you've won respect but also know how to drive a hard bargain, you get a lot done. So first of all, you're very well represented. The second thing I have to say, she was fighting for safety on Queens Boulevard long before it was fashionable. And finally, we have made extraordinary breakthroughs. And I got to tell you, Karen Koslowitz deserves a lot of the credit for what has been achieved. So it used to be called the Boulevard of Death, which was a tragic, horrible title. We had a press conference a few weeks ago. We announced it had been, thank God, over 2.5 years since there had been a fatality on Queens Boulevard. So congratulations, council member. I just want to talk for a moment about my other colleagues in government who I appreciate deeply. First of all, Melinda Katz, I want to meet someone who says you look older, because I've worked with you for a long time. You look exactly the same. I don't know what you're doing, but it's working. It's working. Melinda is also not shy in retiring. When the people of Queens need something, she is quick to call, and she holds my feet to the fire. But when I do something right, she tells me, you know, she rewards good behavior. So you were there when we opened the ferry at the Rockaways, for example. Queens getting its due and something long overdue, but so many other things we worked on together. She is smart, she is informed, she looks out for all of Queens. Let's thank Borough President Katz. And Senator Stavisky, thank you so much for your support. You know a lot about education. I know it's a passion of yours. Thank you for standing up for our schools in Albany. I tell people always it is not easy to represent us in Albany. It is particularly hard in the state Senate. But Senator Stavisky has been resolute. And a lot of times when things are aimed at New York City that aren't fair, she's one of the people who stops them. So let's thank Senator Stavisky for all she does. That could occupy all of his energies very fairly, but he finds time to also have a very big impact on this city and this state. He's been one of the leading voices in the battle against homelessness, and I give him a lot of credit. It is not a fun and easy issue. We all know that. It takes intelligent, creative solutions. And the bill you've put forward in Albany is one of the most important steps forward in a long time, and I'm praying it gets passed this time or soon. But let's thank the Assemblyman for all he's doing. And Assemblymember David Wepper and I go back a long time. We served in the council together. I want to thank you, David. You're doing a lot for the people of your district, but I also wanted as another example of someone who's taking on a big job for all of us. He's chair, as he mentioned, the correction committee in the Assembly. We cannot make the changes we need on Rikers Island to make it safer and to eventually close it. We can't do that alone. We need the state to be a part of it. And to make it safer in particular has been a primary focus for David Weprin, the safety of our officers on Rikers Island and safety of inmates alike. David, thank you for leading the charge for those reforms. I also want to note, and I will refer back to him in a moment, but we have the president of the Queens Library System, Dennis Walcott, is here. Dennis, where are you? Stand up. Thank you. I will come back to the topic of libraries in a moment, but thank you for your good work for the library and your good work for the city as deputy mayor before that. Very much appreciated. Finally, want to say, well, a special thank you. The young man who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Benedict Adotoi. Let's thank him again. Great job, Benedict. And finally, who are all these wonderful people? Well, over here are the heads of many of the city agencies that have the biggest impact on your life. They're all here in one place. These town hall meetings, council member, the town hall meetings are wonderful because people are going to ask me questions, but they're also going to get to hear from these key leaders of the city. And I want to emphasize, you have an opportunity also at the end of the meeting, if there's something that didn't get covered, we're going to do it as best we can to get to as many people. But if something doesn't get covered, come right up and speak to them. If you are concerned about how many school seats there are in this district and you need more school seats, the president of the School Construction Authority is here. If you're concerned about your water or sewers, the commissioner DEP is here. If you're concerned about sanitation, the commissioner of sanitation is here. I could go on and on. Point is, you rarely get a collection of leadership all in one room like this. It's outstanding. And I also want to say you have the entire leadership of all of the precincts and the borough command here that protects us every day. And let's thank all these key leaders of the NYPD. So whether you have concerns you want to raise to NYPD or any of the leaders of all of these agencies, they're right here in front of you. And I always say, and they love when I say it, I know they love when I say it, that they are such wonderful public servants. They are so dedicated that if you need them to stay here all night talking to you, they will stay here all night. That's how devoted they are. So someone's got to take me up on that sometimes. So look, let me be very, very quick on a few other points, and then we'll open up. We are focused on the things that affect your life. Nothing is more important than safety, right? Every one of us starts with, we need a safe community. I don't have to tell you the big story of what the NYPD has achieved. It's extraordinary. We are the safest big city in America by far, and we're getting safer all the time, which is amazing. Let me give you two facts for your precincts right here in this council district in the 112, the 112 precinct. This is the kind of thing that makes me so proud. There has not been a single homicide in this precinct all year. That is an amazing achievement. Thank God for that. In the 102 precinct, major index crimes are down. This is just compared to last year, are down almost 20% in the 102 precinct. Congratulations. So that's an example of something very good happening in this community. I want to give you another example, and I appreciated when my colleagues talked about pre-K. A lot of people responded. I know how important it is to so many families. But let me let you hear this fact. It amazes me. When we were preparing, council member, for this meeting, I saw the statistics for your council district. This one really amazed me. because we've added to pre-K all over the city, but you know, some places gain more than others depending on what they had to start with. So here's the fact about your whole council district. There were only 100 students in full-day pre-K when I took office. Only 100 in your entire council district. There are now 1,544 students in pre-K. And I mentioned the School Construction Authority. I know there are real concerns in the community about the need for more school space, and we're going to be talking about that tonight for sure, but let me let you know one thing that is in the budget. It is in the budget, the money is there. We have enough money in the budget to build 2 more K-5 schools with enough room for 1,074 students in them. Let me finish with some very, very good news. And Councilmember Koslowitz, I want to give you the lion's share of the credit. But I also want to share with some other folks who have fought hard. I know Melinda Katz has been fighting for this. I know Dennis Walcott has been fighting for this. But you're my host and my partner at City Hall. We know for a long time there has been a real desire in the community for a new and expanded Rego Park Library. It took a while to get there. The borough president fought hard and she put real money into it. Thank you, borough president. And the council member worked her magic in the council and she put real money into it. And we, the council, worked with us and passed a budget just this week, and City Hall put money into it also. And so, at the current site, I am now announcing a new 2-story Rego Park Library will be built. So we've already gotten something done at the town hall meeting. All right. I want to thank everyone again for being here. I'm going to turn it back to the council member as our moderator. I'm going to do my darndest to get to as many people as possible tonight. Get ready, everybody. Take it away, Karen.
Thank you. I'm overwhelmed. Like they say, I'm verklempt. I'm going to call on you to ask questions. Each person gets only one question because, as you can see, we have many, many people here that want to ask questions. So we can start off by asking a question. In the back?
Wait, what's that?
Wait, hold on.
Who are you going to?
No,
Farther back.
right, further back.
Keep going around.
Buenas noches, señor alcalde. Mi nombre es Inés.
I can do some of it, but why don't we give you, let her do some and you'll translate the rest? You want to do that? Yeah. Okay.
Mi nombre es Inés y vivo muchos años aquí, soy una persona sola y soy vendedora ambulante. Y no tengo permiso para vender, yo vendo en el parque, me han quitado demasiado y me han tratado como peor que un animal. Yo necesito a los señores que hicieron eso, que lo quitaron y botaron todas las cosas.
Let her translate now. Go ahead. Or whoever's going to translate.
Good evening, Major. I'm a street seller and
Vendor.
A street vendor.
Yeah.
And I sell in the park, but I've been taken away from my space like 3 times. I've been treated like a dog, and I need the people who did that to give me back.
And she has or does not have license?
I don't have a permit.
Does not. Okay.
Seen the video on Facebook. She's telling the Flushing Meadow Park, and a park officer took her daughter and just slammed her to the ground. There were kids present. We want this officer to be punished or either fired because it's not right the way this officer treated.
Let's hear from Parks. Come on over from Parks all the way here. Okay, so let me say two things. I don't know about the incident, but obviously I'm very, very concerned. And Dottie, you're going to speak to that. We take very seriously all city employees, all officers of all types need to be respectful of the public. So I don't know this particular incident. We're certainly going to look into it, or maybe you have more to say. On the bigger question of vendors, we're working with the City Council right now, trying to come up with a reform package for how we license vendors and how we create some consistency in the enforcement of the law, because we also need more consistent enforcement in terms of vending. So that's coming right now with the City Council. But to this incident, can you speak to it?
Very briefly, the incident is being investigated, and I'd love to talk with you afterwards and give you some additional details, but it is being investigated. We did look at the full thing. The division doesn't report to me directly, but I am aware of it peripherally, and I'd like to at least catch
so we will follow
additional info.
Kids involved, and like one of the little girls here, and she's like traumatized. Every time you see a park officer's car, she starts.
No, I appreciate it. Again, we want to not prejudge because we have to do our investigation, but I'm very glad you're raising it, and we obviously want to make sure people are treated respectfully. So we're going to follow up for sure. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Proud to be able to vote for you again.
Thank you.
One thing that I hope that we can get within the next 4 years is 24/7 city fair or something close to it on the Long Island Railroad, so that the mass transit wastelands that are in the county of Queens that do have Long Island Railroad can get better transportation to the city. Hopefully they fix the tracks too.
I like that. I've heard this proposal. I know you've raised it. Councilmember Miller, a lot of people have been very focused on it. We didn't get to it yet, but it's still on the table for the future as an option. I certainly want to make sure, look, there's a lot of parts of the city where we're trying to expand mass transit in different ways, and this is a live option of another way to do it. So I appreciate, continue to raise it. It's still live. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio. My name is Carol McLaughlin. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Queens, and I'm here with a...
I represent Our Lady of the Angels. We're part of the Faith in New York.
All right.
With 90 organizations of all different faiths and religions.
Thank you.
And we are hosting a mayoral candidates forum on June 15th at 7 p.m. at the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem. And we are still waiting for confirmation about your attendance. And can we count on you to address the faith community of New York City next Thursday?
So thank you for the invitation. I'm always careful about invitations because I don't know what my schedule will be even just a week ahead. So I'll make sure my people follow up with you right away. As you know, we have made a big priority of working with faith communities. We have respected the rights of faith communities in terms of the use of public school space and the availability of that space for rent. We have had a very close working relationship with houses of worship across the board, and we have an Office of Community and Faith Partnerships that we're very proud to have created. So I got a lot I want to talk to the community about. I don't know about that specific date, but I appreciate the invitation very much. Thank you. That is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council Member. First, my name is Peter Beadle. I'm a member of Community Board 6. Thank you so much for working to fix Queens Boulevard and make that a safer place for everyone in this community. There's another project in this community that a lot of people have been working on. It's called the Queensway, and it starts just a few blocks from here. And it starts just a few blocks from here, and that would provide us with a 3.5-mile linear park and bikeway that would give us an instant network for bicyclists here in Queens and help us meet your pledge to meet the Paris Agreement, to meet the climate goals of New York City, and give us another way to get around. So my question, of course, is hopefully if you would be able to support this plan, make this something that working with parks and with DOT that we can get done for the citizens of the city to make this a better, safer, and more climate sensitive and responsible city. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on, I'm going to speak to that. So, well-crafted question, sir. So, we, the city of New York, have to come to some final conclusions about the sheer facts involved in terms of Queensway. Obviously, there have been proposals in the past about the transportation uses. I think you know the MTA is still considering that. We've got to understand that in totality before we make a decision. I don't think that necessarily means a long time. It just means if we're nearing a conclusion, I want everything on the table. So the MTA's analysis of the transportation options apparently will be available soon. We also have to, in terms of the potential of a park, fully account for all the costs involved. If we're going down the road, we need to know what we're getting into and what the long-term cost to the taxpayers will be. And that assessment is also being organized now, so we have all those facts. So that is simply a preface to say a decision is coming, not tomorrow, but as early as a few months from now, on what we think is the right vision. May go over into, the next obvious milestone is the preliminary budget in January or February of next year. So it's on my radar screen. I hear more and more interest in it from Queens residents. I like the way you spun it into my desire to get us calibrated to the Paris goals. Very smart man. So I will come back publicly with an assessment of the different options, the costs, and then we will move to a decision. Thank you.
The gentleman in the back in the orange shirt.
Hello, Mr. de Blasio. I know you talk about keeping the road safe with the Vision Zero program.
Yes, sir.
Right. But we would like to know, what are you doing to help all workers whose jobs is to keep our streets safe while projects are underway and whose wages are at risk?
I'm sorry, when you said, no, the first part, you
all
said
workers.
all workers.
All workers.
Okay, you got to give me a little more specific so I know where you're going with the question.
Specifically, safety workers. For instance, us guys here who are flaggers and crossing guards and laborers.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Thank you for the work you do. So, thank you, everyone. Let's give them a round of applause for the good work they do. So, first of all, I genuinely believe that you work to keep us safe by the very nature of your work. We also have an obligation to you. This is very much what Vision Zero is about for everyone. I mentioned Queens Boulevard before, but that's one of the most prominent examples, but there are many, many others of the impact of Vision Zero. And one of the biggest things that Vision Zero is about is addressing speeding, which I believe is the single greatest danger to all of you. People going into a work zone and not acknowledging and abiding by those rules. So do you have a particular site you're concerned about, or is this just a broad concern from all the work you do? Broad concern. So what I was going to say is NYPD has greatly intensified its focus on speeding offenses. And that is everywhere. That could be around work zones, that could be on major thoroughfares, highways, residential streets, you name it. So my answer to you is I have authorized a very substantial increase in speeding enforcement. That's going to affect the whole city. But I would also welcome, and I'll have my team follow up with you, I welcome if there are specific locations that need more NYPD enforcement to protect you and your colleagues, we will go after that as well. Thank you very much.
The young gentleman.
This is a young questioner. What's your name?
Nicholas Manash.
What grade you in?
5th grade.
I'm impressed.
Thanks. I just want to say this is my recreation center. It's amazing. It's the best. I love it here. But I feel like they should have extra sports, free sports for everybody. Like if you guys can put a budget for that, that would be great. And my second question, second question, because my principal asked me to tell you this question. She told me, can you please ask for the classrooms to be smaller? 16 children in each classroom, make it better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, so you're a very poised young man. I'm impressed. We're investing a lot of money, as you heard earlier, to get more classrooms. We're not yet at the point where we can necessarily reduce the number of kids in every classroom, but we are going to have a lot more classrooms in this community, and that's going to reduce overcrowding. That's going to be a very good thing for the community. On your previous question about the sports activities you'd like for free, now where's Dottie? Dottie, you got to come over here. Come on. Hey, come on, team. When you hear your topic, just join me. Okay. Dottie, this young man wants more free sports activities. What can you do for him?
We're going to have plenty of activities this summer. Angela, Eli, and Chris Davis, who run the center, are both here. So we're going to come over and talk to you and let you know what's going on. But there's youth programs, all the programs. Any child can join any rec center in New York City for free. And there's many activities. So we need to just fill you in on what you're maybe not aware of, but we wanted you to take.
You may be missing out on some great stuff. So she's going to let you know. Thank you.
Okay. The woman in the black sweater. You. Over here. No.
Very specific. You.
That's you.
There you go.
Sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. My name is Natalie Reed, and I'm actually here with a group of other business owners from Kew Gardens, New York, which is right over here. Thank you. We love Kew Gardens. We're having a huge issue with the MTA right now, and we really hope you can help us. It's a bit of an emotional story. We all own businesses on this bridge that goes over the railroad tracks, which I'm sure you're aware of. And it is in great disrepair, and it's been like that for many, many years. But in the last 7 to 10 years, it's gotten even worse. The buildings that our businesses are in have deteriorated greatly. And we've been taking money out of our own pockets to actually make these fixes. We've contacted the MTA on many, many occasions. We haven't gotten any responses from them. They have done an assessment of the bridge, and their solution to us was to tear down the bridge and tear down all the businesses that are on the bridge. So, of course, I'm sure you can understand how upset we were.
Yep.
And we've turned to Councilwoman Kozlowitz. Thank God she was there for us because, thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. And there's been a lot of sleepless nights, wondering if we were going to be able to open our doors the next day, and we're still in this situation. We don't understand why the MTA is ignoring us. We don't understand why the MTA thinks this is a good idea. We need some help, and we're hoping that you're going to be there to help us. We've gotten some information from the MTA, but it's not what we need to know.
I am well briefed by the council member on this situation. It seems to me absolutely unfair to you and your fellow store owners.
Yes.
So we're going to have a plan to follow up here. So first of all, on the MTA board, I appoint several members. I do not appoint the majority.
Right.
I want to make sure everyone is informed this evening. The majority, the MTA is run by the state, is run by the governor. The city has representation, but not a majority. But we can still use our seats to have an impact on behalf of you and your fellow store owners. So Nicole is here on behalf of Polly Trottenberg, our transportation commissioner, who has a seat on the MTA board. So she is going to follow up with you. And Warren is here on behalf of the Commissioner of Small Business Services. He will follow up. This will be your team. I want to ensure that the MTA properly maintains the properties. As I understand, the lease goes to 2020. It's only 2017, so they need to fix the properties here now. They have an obligation, and we will work to enforce that. In terms of the long term, I don't know all the facts about the bridge. I do know tearing down the bridge would destroy your business, and I don't like that. So we want to work, and the neighborhood, a huge impact, obviously. We want to work to see if there's another way to keep things intact and get you the repairs you need. So that's what they're going to work on. Follow up with her.
The gentleman in the black with the blue shirt. Yes.
Him? Which one?
That one.
That one.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for coming to Forest Hills at Rego Park. I'm Ethan Felder. I'm a union side labor lawyer and a member of Community Board 6. I want to thank you for your leadership in the resistance and standing up to Donald Trump.
Thank you.
You should know that Queens as a community is going to stand up to Donald Trump this Sunday in McDonald Park at 2 p.m. That's Sunday at 2 p.m. in McDonald Park. You and the borough president, Melinda Katz, are invited to address the rally, should you like.
Thank you.
A grassroots coalition has come together, and we're quite excited for it. My question has to do with transportation and the MTA. You mentioned that you do not have a majority of the MTA board, but the delays and the headaches that we're seeing that the governor has called a summer of hell is really taking a toll on a lot of us, I think, in this room, myself included, who are riders of the MTA every day, who are sitting in backlog, delayed trains that are hot and humid and really uncomfortable. I think what we need, what we're looking for is an advocate, and a forceful advocate for making the MTA and the subway systems reliable so that, we can be a green city, but one that can rely on public transit. So what I would like to hear is, what can we do to make the subway situation better when it's been pretty intolerable these last few weeks and months?
Yes, thank you. So I don't control the MTA, but we can have a real impact. And look, I spoke to the media about this today. It is a crisis. There's no question. Something's going wrong more and more. There are signal problems, there are electrical problems, there are delays. There's all sorts of things happening that are worse than what we've experienced before. My message is clear. I'm appreciative that the governor has made clear he understands it's his responsibility. He and the MTA need to come forward with a plan of what will be done in the short term to address this crisis. Now, I want to be fair. It's something that has emerged from decades of these issues not being addressed more fundamentally, right? It's not something that occurred only overnight. It's manifested in recent months intensely. So it's not going to be an immediate fix in all ways. But what we need from the MTA is a plan for everything they can do to stop these delays and to make service more reliable and to shift resources to address the New York City subways, because it's by far the biggest thing the MTA does. That's one of my problems historically has been MTA has lots of different pieces, but none of them compare to the New York City subways in terms of how many people ride them. It's 5 or 6 million rides a day. So the resources need to go where the people are. And so we need to see a plan to fix the immediate problem. So my message is we want to see that plan for the governor of the MTA. We'll do everything we can. Remember, we gave them $2.5 billion 2 years ago, and that money is part of what they can use to address these issues. We want to see a plan, and you're certainly going to see that strong advocacy for the changes we need. Thank you.
I'm coming back to you. I want to go around the room and give everybody...
Keep going around and around. Don't worry. Keep going around and around.
Right here with the red sweater.
Do you need water?
Okay, just thank you for...
Okay, get the microphone closer so we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the comment you just made, but it seems like the way you addressed it, you're waiting for the MTA to come up with a plan. You are the mayor of New York City, and I hope that you are advocating as strongly as possible to get the infrastructure updated.
Let me tell you, first of all, we made very clear to the MTA that we expect a plan. The people in New York City are waiting for a plan. So it's not like idly waiting. We've made clear this is something we all need. And again, we invested $2.5 billion 2 years ago. And we said at that time, we want to be able to determine where that money goes. So we've added the money. We want to see the plan to go with it. The other thing we're doing, if we don't see a plan soon, I will put forward my own vision of the changes needed. I believe the MTA understands the extent of the crisis. I do. But time's a wasting. We need them to put forward a plan. The other thing we're doing in the city is creating as many other types of transit options as possible. That's the ferries, that's the select bus service, which is reaching more and more neighborhoods, and also the light rail we're starting to develop for Queens and Brooklyn. So this is what we can do, add more options for people.
You have mentioned
you.
Queens Boulevard several times.
Okay, it's one question per person. My apologies. That's
Well,
one.
that was only one. No, only one.
We got it because we got all these people. You got to sit down. Sit down, please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Sit down. Yeah.
We're coming around and around. Come on. We're going around and around, ma'am.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That jump.
You could look up, excuse me, Mayor, you could look up a guy who actually did something for the subway system, Peter Gunn.
Okay.
If you remember.
Yes.
You look up, he was
did a
like,
lot.
Before he came, the trains were, but, you know, I just want to say you're the first mayor that would call people now. I want to appreciate that.
Thank you.
You should have a T-shirt that you're the rent stabilization mayor now.
Thank you, brother.
And just, this is not really a question, but I don't believe, and I never thought I'd get to say this anywhere, there's not enough time, I think, to cross Queens Boulevard.
You think there's not enough time
Not
on
enough
the
time. Now,
walk sign?
I know traffic flow is important, but the other one is that really there should be no driving when there's walking. There should be no walking when there's driving. And I know I never thought I'd get to say this to people because I thought it was, you know, an interesting way to look at it. I know traffic flow is very
So you
important.
think it should be
a little more time?
A little more time. Okay. Nicole, what is being done for the amount of time for crossing Queens Boulevard?
So we always look at traffic signal timing and pedestrian timing, but one of the things that we're doing with the Queens Boulevard Safety Project is we're actually expanding the medians with paint. So that provides shorter crossing distances for pedestrians, and we're looking up and down the corridor and implementing changes. And in Community Board 6, so from Elliott Avenue to Yellowstone Boulevard, we will be making signal timing changes to make it better for pedestrians to cross.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for the question, because this is, I just want to make one other point about Vision Zero. Vision Zero keeps changing all the time to address the conditions to keep people safe. So this is a very important point you raise. If we see a place where we need to give people more time to cross, we can always make that adjustment. So thank you. Thank you.
That's it. One
Okay.
question. Anybody back there with the purples? With the purple?
Is that who you got?
That.
What, in the pink sweater or not?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got
cool.
it. Okay. There we go.
It's cool. I'll take your question. So, I don't mean to rain on everyone's parade. Sorry. But we talked about Donald Trump and the resistance, right? And Donald Trump is from Queens. And I don't agree with Donald Trump on a lot of different things. Actually, anything. I'm sure you don't either. But there's like one policy that I think Donald Trump would agree with the most that you support. And that's broken windows policing. So when we talk about resistance, we also have to mention that there are two different types of queens. There's one for a certain group of people and one for a not so well-off certain group of people. And so when we talk about resistance, we talk about broken windows policing, I'm not just talking about you. talking about the council member. I'm talking about David, Melinda, and all the other people that were here. But what my question really is when it's so against the values of those from black and brown communities, why would you support it? Why would you support broken windows policing?
I disagree entirely with the way you're thinking about what broken windows policing is. And so let me offer my definition. We have tried in so many ways to change the relationship between police and community. Retraining the entire police force to focus on de-escalation. Neighborhood policing as the governing philosophy, so officers get to know people in a small part of the neighborhood and stick with them for a long period of time. Look at the composition of the force, which looks more and more like New York City all the time. Implicit bias training, which is now part of the training we're giving to officers. This is all the process of reform. But here's why I disagree. I think what was part of the past at times, where people saw very uneven, unequal forms of policing, is not what we're doing today. In fact, what we're doing today focuses on quality of life, but does not emphasize arrest. The number of arrests continues to go down. If you think about some of the things that are quality of life offenses, more and more people are getting a summons rather than arrest, or even just a warning. So yes, if there is a quality of life problem, we ought to address it, but we are not addressing it the way it was done in the past. More and more we are moving away from arrest and using other tools.
Thank you, Mr. de Blasio, for coming to Queens. Very appreciated with my wife. But I needed a translator Russian.
Translator Russian. Okay, we may have to come back to you if we don't have one. Or we have someone?
Somebody people maybe have?
If not, we're going to get someone to come right over. We'll find I'm sure there's a Russian translator somewhere in the room. You have one? Then go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, okay. Get up. Okay. Dear de Blasio.
Stand closer so you can...
Мы написали письмо де Блазио 3-4 года назад насчет квартиры, субсидированной и 8-й программы. Он нам написал, но он дал нам Манхэттен, Бруклин. Мы бы хотели, чтобы в Квинсе были ближе к детям и ближе к синагоге.
He wrote you a letter like 4 or 5 years ago. Saying,
well, it couldn't be 4 or 5 years ago because I wasn't mayor then. So let's try that. But keep going.
About a program, and you sent him the letter back saying to go to a different program.
Мне 70 лет, жене 68, мы на senior citizen.
Okay, if it's something very personal, we may have someone follow up, but go ahead.
I'm 70 years old, and my wife is 68 years old, and we get $1,200 a month, and we all pay for our rent.
So just in the interest of everyone's time, what's the question? Just give me a simple question.
Какой у вас вопрос? Вопрос такой: ускорить выдачу субсидированную квартиру, потому что budget income very slow income.
Okay.
Could we get faster our subsidized? Could we get a subsidy for an apartment?
Okay, so what we'll do
faster.
No, I gotta be honest about how it works. I wish it was faster, but let me explain. And Nick will follow up, who represents Queens from my office, so he will follow up with you. But the simple answer is we are producing more and more affordable housing, particularly for senior citizens. A lot of our affordable housing now that we're creating, subsidies and new housing, is for seniors. But there is a lottery. That's the way people get it. They have to apply for the lottery. Go ahead. No, not you. Put your hand up.
The gentleman standing with the brown jacket.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and crew. I hate to beleaguer the Kew Gardens issue, but in all due respect, your answer was a little bit nebulous.
What's nebulous about it?
What can you do and your administration do to actually stop this from happening?
I don't know yet because I don't know all the facts. I do know what we want to do. First of all, if the MTA has a lease with the business owners, we will use what power we do have with the MTA to get that lease enforced because they can't not make repairs for the existing lease. In terms of the bridge itself, until I know what that's about, I'm not going to overpromise, but I don't like the idea of the stores being displaced. So I want to know if there's some way to repair the bridge without displacing the stores. So it's not nebulous out of lack of will. It's nebulous because I don't know all the facts. I do know they deserve the terms of the existing lease to be enforced, and I think we can have an impact on that.
And the stores are wonderful, the people are wonderful, but the people who live there
I
will
got you.
also be tremendously affected by this.
No, I
We
appreciate
know
it.
that, and we're working on it.
Thank you.
The gentleman, yes, you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor. Abdul Rahim Hawladar, Senior Vice President, Bangladesh Society, which is the largest Bangladeshi organization here, socio and non-profit organization. The question is, with the ID NYC program, thousands of New Yorkers, documented and undocumented, are provided with photo identification cards, which can be used as a legal ID. The city has their private and sensitive information. How do the undocumented immigrants know that President Trump will not have the power to deport them by finding out this information from the city of New York? Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent question. So the ID NYC was created in a very careful manner, working closely with the NYPD to make sure it was safe and secure. It's been a tremendous success. Over 1 million people have it. And it's also very important for public safety because one thing all of the leaders of the NYPD here will tell you is we need every New Yorker to be carrying an ID in case they do have an encounter with a police officer. So it's been a tremendous success. There are 2 reasons people can feel secure. We made a policy change in the fall. We no longer require as much background information for new applicants. So people going in now to get an ID NYC are being asked they do not have to leave the documents. We look at them and then they keep the documents so there's not the same exposure as there was previously. The second is we've made very clear, and it's part of the city law, that we will destroy the backup material from the previous IDs. There is a court case proceeding right now. We believe we're going to ultimately win that court case. If there's any effort to take that background material, we are confident we can protect it legally and then ultimately destroy it. Thank you.
Young lady, yes.
Who you got? There's confusion back there. Which one?
With the sweater.
With the red?
The woman.
The red sweater. There you go.
Good evening, Mr. de Blasio. My name is Fatima Perkins, and I'm going to shift the topic that I don't think anybody's thinking of. I stand here as a mother of a rape survivor who has mental illness. Out of all this, I composed a bill by the name of Destiny's Law that I've been actively trying to have passed. I've spoken with my councilwoman, with my assembly people, and unfortunately, I'm sad to say, I have gotten nowhere fast. This is something that affects everyone, female and male, of all ages. I'm sure, as you know, throughout New York City, rape has become somewhat of a pastime that people choose to do. And I would like to know what you or anyone in this room, for that matter, can do for rape reform and to possibly help me get this passed in the name of my daughter and in the name of so many other unnamed people.
Thank you very much for the question. Thank you for the question. First of all, I know you said one part critically, and I think rightfully so, when you said the word pastime. It's obviously not acceptable for anyone to think there's any context where rape is allowable. It's not allowable, it's not legal. We will stop it with everything we have. So what we do see, and it's painful reality, but it actually is opening the door for progress, is more and more people, and particularly obviously women, are coming forward and reporting what sometimes in the past was accepted and never should have been accepted. And people are standing up more, women are standing up more and coming forward. And NYPD has made a major, major focus on having that encouragement for women to come forward and then proving that there will be very swift justice. So we are committed. We're putting a lot more resources at NYPD into stopping rape. Obviously, there's often a nexus with domestic violence. NYPD is doing some extraordinary work, as is the mayor's office, to combat domestic violence, including constant visits to a home where domestic violence has occurred to keep a constant monitoring on the situation. That's an approach that's being used much more extensively than in the past. So I want you to know we are very focused. In terms of your legislation, I want my team to follow up with you and see what we can do to help, and obviously what we think is the best way to go about it. So I don't know if Jessica is here from my team. Where is Jessica? Come over, Jessica, if you hear my voice. And because she will come over. Is she here? She's somewhere in the room, or we will find you someone else if she isn't. We're going to have someone follow up with you and make sure that we see what we can do in terms of your legislation. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen Koslowitz, for hosting this event, and I want to say thank you for being a true voice for our community in the City Council. I know that you are the community's true friend, and I also consider you as also a personal friend. Honorable Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership in bringing the universal pre-K to our communities. In our organization alone, in the last 2.5 years, over 330 students and families were directly impacted from the universal pre-K.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I want to also,
now, what's your question?
I also want to say thank you for bringing forth the 3K for all.
Yes.
I just hope you can speed it up a little bit.
We're going to do our best. All right, now we got a lot of people. What's the question?
The question is like this. I know that the city has tremendous resources out there with regards to substance abuse and drug abuse.
Yes.
We would like very much for our youth who need those resources to take advantage of that. The problem is our families and the youth are afraid of reaching out to the city.
Yes.
And we'd like very much if the city can actually bring those resources to the CBOs, to the communities.
Yes, we can. Department of Health, come on over.
To the synagogues, to the houses of worship. I think that's where we're going to have the greatest impact.
Great minds think alike.
Just one more thing.
No. Hold it. We got to limit everyone because there's so many people. Great minds think alike. Who's here from the Department of Health? You're there. You're right behind me. Okay. So, great minds think alike, but in this case, one great mind is you, and the other is my wife, Charlene. And so, a couple of weeks ago, the city helped organize what was called a Weekend of Faith, and my wife led this effort to have in synagogues and churches and mosques and every form of faith, conversations from the pulpit about how to access mental health services and substance abuse services. Because we want to destigmatize and get the services to people who need them. We also have been going out, and my wife has done this personally, have gone out to organizations of all different faiths to do exactly what you say, is sit down with the leadership and figure out how we can bring the services in. And that's been very, very successful in the Jewish community, among other communities. So the Deputy Commissioner will make sure that we follow up with you at the end of the meeting and create a venue with your community to bring the mental health services directly to you.
And this is also an opportunity, Mr. Mayor, for us to talk about
Up higher.
NYC Well and make sure that folks are aware of the availability of NYC Well and make use of it. But I'd be happy to talk to you and follow up with you on your...
And that's for everyone. Thank you for the tip. Let me say one last thing. NYC Well, this is one of the key initiatives my wife Charlene has undertaken as part of her mental health work. I want everyone to hear it. Any New Yorker, you can call for yourself or for a friend or for a loved one. It's 1-888-NYC-WELL. I'm going to say it one more time. 1-888-NYC-WELL. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every conceivable language. You can call. It's confidential. trained counselors who will help you identify where the services are that you or a loved one may need, and then they actually connect you to the appointment you need. So it's an outstanding service. Please let people know.
Mayor, excuse me. I don't want to be out of place. I'm talking for the Rockaways. I'm sorry. We've been working as Rockaway United over 4 years, and we are now in the hurricane season again. We celebrate our 5th anniversary commemoration October 29th. We are still looking for an honest-to-God literal evacuation plan for the peninsula. We do not have such, and we've been talking to OEM for quite a while about this.
Okay.
We need a real diagram. That's number one. It's still safe and secure for the Rockaways. 135 people, 11 miles long, 14 communities.
Is
and we're
OEM here
still
just
talking.
testing? OEM? No.
Now,
Okay, keep
one
going.
other important thing. We want to keep the lights on out there because when they go out, sometime maybe this season, there has to be a way to get off of that peninsula. We can very easily do that with the water treatment plant, with a microgrid, which we applied for with the New York State prize effort. We still do not have either lights or a safe way out, which includes, by the way, evacuation signs. We do not
I got you. I got you. And thank you. Very important. Obviously, I did not prepare for this meeting to speak about the Rockaways, but I'm perfectly happy you raised it. I'm going to have my folks follow up with you. I don't know the exact status on the electricity sources. I know that OEM and other agencies have been looking on how to secure them. So you're bringing up the issue. We're going to get you an answer. We're going to get you an answer. Thank you.
First time I speak to you, my name is Adolfo Sanchez. There's a neighborhood that I want to point out, and it's Ozone Park. I live in a wonderful neighborhood, a working class neighborhood, and I'm a strong supporter of the Queens Way. Sir, I want to tell you that I came from Puerto Rico and I moved to that neighborhood because of my job, and I could not believe the infighting in Queens against the Queens Way. It's incredible, a project that helps.
Okay,
the
you got to get to a question, though.
Yes. What I want to know is, sir, why don't you partner with the parks? There's some type of partnership with the parks to support the Greensway, because transportation is important, but Ozone Park needs green spaces. So let's talk about a real relationship between the parks and the Queensway project. Some people invested time on it.
Thank you. The answer is connected to what I said earlier. We are closing in on a final decision on what to do. The transportation option is almost fully assessed. We need to assess the parks option for all it costs and make sure we believe we can pay for the upkeep. One of the things we're very sensitive to with parks is it's one thing to build them, it's another thing to keep them up properly over the long term. So we need those two facts in place, and then we're going to make a decision. I'm very aware there's a lot of interest and a lot of support, but I have to get the facts, particularly on cost, and then I'll be in a position to make a decision. Thank you. Going around and around, everyone. Everybody, we're going around and around.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome Mayor Bill de Blasio to my community.
Thank you.
My name is Yaniv Meirov, and I represent the Chazak organization. I'm a proud member of CB6, the QJCC, QJL,
Let's get to a question.
ABA.
There's lots of people. Let's get to a question.
I wanted to thank you for attending our big Chazak event last year.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
We missed you this year.
I owe you one.
Okay.
Okay.
As you're aware, Chazak is in the quote-unquote business of changing and saving lives. From our after-school program, which is changing the lives.
Okay, my friend, seriously, we all got to get to questions. There's a lot of people here.
Basically, long story short, is how can an organization like ours really tap in city resource to continue our quest of changing and saving lives?
And I think it's a wonderful organization, and I thank you for the question. On after-school programs, we already are committed. This is a fact. I don't know. I want to see how many people know this. How many people know that every middle school child in New York City is guaranteed a free after-school seat? Who knows that? Raise your hand if you know that. So most people have not heard that. You should be aware, I think, of this fact. We have an initiative to provide a free after-school seat to every 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader. As you know, we work with every kind of organization, with yeshivas, with Catholic schools, with Muslim schools, with community-based organizations to achieve that goal. We want to see more and more kids take advantage of that, and we will put in the funding to achieve that. So I'm going to have my team follow up. I don't know where one of my people is, but they're going to find you to make sure that we are working with you on that as well. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor de Blasio. My name is Connie Attanasio, and I have a business in New York called Attanasio and Associates. We supply materials for English language learners.
We have met before.
When you were public advocate.
So tell me what you need.
I need help with the Department of Education. They don't care about minority business. They don't care about anyone who wants to help me get a contract again. They don't want to do business with small businesses. They want the big businesses for outside.
And you are certified with Small Business Services, right? Okay, I want Warren too, so we're going to do a little committee here to follow up on your particular situation. Deputy Chancellor Phil Weinberg.
And thank you for helping me so many years ago.
It was my pleasure. Warren Gardner from Small Business Services. So they're both going to follow up. Warren, in terms of us always want to make sure, we love all our agencies, but we want to make sure that they are looking for every opportunity to work with MWBEs, and Phil in terms as Deputy Chancellor in terms of within the DOE. So you guys will follow up. Thanks so much. Microphone, thank you. There we go. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, close.
My name is Cheryl Fedek. I'm a lifelong resident of Rego Park, and I would have many questions for you, but I'm only allowed one.
But you're strong and disciplined.
I have to congratulate you on holding this kind of a meeting.
Thank you.
I believe in increasing the participation of people in the neighborhoods and including in the community boards. My specific one question, all right, not to be redundant with other people. There are many wild animals coming into our residential neighborhoods. I live in a private home in Rego Park, right over here on Elliott Avenue, about 3 blocks away. We've had repeatedly issues with raccoons, which are aggressive, which have very large claws.
Yep.
I've learned about the fact that we have 3 kinds of opossum, if not more. The opossum want to make their home in my home with the cats. They knock on the door to come in. They want to make themselves known.
You never expected all this, did you?
That's right. I didn't grow up in the wilderness.
In the wilderness, right.
So I am an animal lover, very much so. I'm trying not to hurt the animals.
Okay, so your question is, what can we do about it?
What can we do about it?
Dottie, what can we
Thank you
do
very
about it? Thank you very much.
Well, it's interesting, Mr. Mayor. Our city is getting much healthier in many ways. So we do have animals. My backyard, I have possums as well. They're good. They eat ticks, so there's a benefit to this. We do have a woman, though, who works for us who handles all the wildlife issues. I'd like to connect you with her in terms of the specifics. But we do our best to encourage wildlife living in New York City. But if they are a nuisance, you need to report that to us so that we can look at it exactly and figure out what the options are.
And Dottie, for everyone's benefit, if an animal's rabid, for example, just describe for everyone's knowledge who comes to get the rabid animal.
Well, it's the Parks Department in tandem with the Police Department. Emergency services would respond. If you see an animal that you believe is acting erratically, like a raccoon is out in the daytime, call 911. Someone will respond.
Okay.
What I'd like to do then is your specific area. I'll come over and talk with you afterwards, and we'll see what the opportunities are.
So we will send help. Thank you.
We're going to go around.
We're going to keep going around and around.
My name is Wan Yanhai. I'm a case worker of Queens Community House, working for the seniors. So in my service with Chinese seniors, so there are some issues. People
Okay, give me a question.
Look, a lot of people are concerned about receiving public service and applying public benefit. They are worrying about whether, receiving public...
and you said seniors, right?
Seniors.
Seniors.
They are concerned about
Seniors.
applying benefit might impact their immigration status.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to get my team here to... I'm going to give them all Red Bulls so they work more quickly. Okay. And immigration status, you said?
Yeah. People are worried about applying
okay.
public benefit or receiving public service might impact their immigration status. The lack of information, the lack of education. So
Okay.
I'm wondering...
I got it. Okay. So people who are concerned about losing benefits because of immigration status, so our Immigrant Affairs Commissioner and our Social Services Commissioner, take it away, guys.
So let me first tell you in general what the rules are, but it's a complicated area.
Yeah, I know. My question is that whether the city government would like to, provide more funding for, bilingual education and research for, senior people about the senior care and the seniors, rights. So a lot of people lack of information.
Wait.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We gotta stop going back and forth. Let us address the issue. You're saying to make the information available to the seniors about how to navigate.
Yes,
this,
that's
right. Okay, let's stay right there.
So
These two.
Here's what we can do. We've already worked with Queens Community House to do some Know Your Rights forums, and we'd like to bring that back and focus specifically on the seniors. So the seniors can learn what benefits they can apply, how their immigration status may or may not affect that. So I will follow up with you afterwards and make sure we connect you to that information.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. 5 years?
Yeah, you got one?
My
Okay.
question.
Got one?
Who's up?
I am.
Okay.
My name is Carol. I'm representing the disability community.
Thank
I
you.
have dysgraphia. I am a leader in the disability community. I have fought for rights for people with disabilities for many years. My issue is the following. This past Tuesday, I went to Access VR in Manhattan and saw your proclamation. I say, why, Mayor de Blasio, why the proclamation to this organization when someone like me, for the second time around, is fighting with them for 2 years? Because all I'm asking for is computer software and hardware so I can complete another master's degree, so I can work in a college office.
Which organization again? Which is the one you're having the difference with?
Access VR and OPWDD. And if you read that, take it back to your office and you read the story.
Access VR, okay.
There's another issue, but I can only raise one.
Okay.
It is the epitome of it all that you can go ahead and give an award to someone when they don't do their job.
All right. Do we have someone, just so I knowledge, anyone here for office for people with disabilities? Anyone? Okay. We'll have our team follow up, and we will get you an answer to this, and we'll look into it. Thank you.
There too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Here, will you make sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There you go.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, and thank you, Karen Koslowitz. I represent a rather large organization called Self-Help Community Services. As you can see, I'm a senior, and that's what that organization takes care of, is seniors. I want to thank you for the amount of money that you've kept in the budget, $22 million. I thank you very much.
23 million.
23, I stand corrected, and I thank you a little even more.
There you go.
There are many, many seniors here, and if you're not a senior, then you have a mother or a grandmother, or you'll be joining me soon.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say, while you've given us a lot, the amount of people that are providing the services for the seniors are a small number servicing a tremendous community. 17% of our citizens are over 60.
So what's the question?
So the question is, there's a very large turnover and not enough personnel. Two problems. Turnover.
At the senior agencies.
At all senior
right.
agencies.
So let me give you an answer. So that's a great question.
And I see the commissioner is right
Yes,
behind
and the
you.
commissioner is
because
going to
I've
join
heard
me.
her speak many times.
I'm going to start, and she's going to follow through.
Right.
That
Yes.
we recognize a lot of the nonprofits that provide support to seniors and to a lot of other New Yorkers have not been getting the basics that they need in terms of funding. And this was a complaint that the nonprofits had for a long time. In this budget, we've made major investments beyond that 23 million, additional investments to start to shore up the organizations themselves. Let me have the commissioner continue.
Right, sure.
Thank you,
So
Commissioner.
there's actually two things. One of them is the generosity of the city council and
Yes.
the administration to shore up first case manager programs that work with seniors and a tremendous investment in salaries and supporting staff in that regard. This year, we'll be looking more towards the senior centers, and they've given us $10 million to start that effort to address some of the very, very long-term inequalities in funding. In addition to that, the administration has been working with the not-for-profit committee overall, so you'll be seeing some COLAs related to that and also some additional support for agencies. Cost of living increases for
Very nice.
staff, for personnel, and also for administrative costs as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Karen.
Good evening. I have small question.
Okay.
I am from Bukharin community, Queens. My name is Nina Yuhan.
Okay.
I live in Flushing. I live by myself.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Across from my house is a mass. My bedroom is front of the mass. 4 o'clock in the morning with a microphone, they pray. Every day, every evening. You can't even sleep. I call police.
Okay.
I call 311. Nobody helps. I live by myself.
What street? I'm sorry, what street?
Queens Boulevard.
Which precinct?
Flushing.
Oh, anyone here? No, it's not from, okay. So, okay, this is the DEP Commissioner, Department of Environmental Protection, deals with noise
Please.
issues. So what are you
This
going to do
is
about it?
ridiculous.
Got it. What are
Thank
gonna
you
do?
so much.
Thank you. Commissioner, you're going to follow up? Okay, the Commissioner will follow up directly. Thank you.
Gentleman back there. No.
All the way back. Good try.
Honorable Mayor, Councilwoman Kozlowitz, thank you very much for coming out here to Queens. My name is David M., and I'm with an organization called the Alliance of Bukharin Americans. And one of the questions that I had for you, throughout 2016, there were a number of fires in Forest Hills targeting new constructions. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this. There were, it was in the news.
Yes.
And ever since those events, our community members have felt a little unsafe. And with the high holidays around the corner and targeted hate crimes on the rise, I want to know what can we ensure that protection is around for the community, especially during the high holidays?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, we take very, very seriously protecting all communities, particularly during the important holidays of the year. So NYPD is very, very aware of when the holidays are and the need to be particularly mindful of the community. Second, thank God we have seen since those horrible incidents, we have not seen a continuation. That does not seem to be an ongoing pattern. So I believe, based on everything we know, that is in the past. So we will always be vigilant, and that's called for, and we need the community to be our partner. If anyone sees something, obviously NYPD needs to know about right away. But rest assured, there will be a very clear, strong police presence to protect the community.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming.
Thank you.
My name is Kathleen Schatz. I'm all for safety on Queens Boulevard, but I do not agree with the bike lanes.
Okay.
As you know, New York City has a law that 13-year-olds and up can ride the city, cannot ride their bikes on sidewalks, and they have to drive in the streets.
Let's check
now
that.
you're letting...
Hold on one second. I want to check that. What's the age? Just clarify for everyone.
If you're under 13, you can ride on a sidewalk, and you do have to wear a helmet. Under 13.
Under 13, but over 13, they have to ride in the street with no helmets. Now you're letting 14, 15, 16, 17, all the way up to ride on Queens Boulevard in these bike lanes with no helmets. I would like to see a law enacted to make sure that everybody, all bike riders in the city of New York and the boroughs, they all have to wear helmets.
Okay.
It would save lives, and it makes sense.
Let me first of all thank you for the suggestion. I have to think about that one, to say the least, because I think it would be a very, very tough one to enforce, even though I think the intention is very good. But let me first start with the bike lanes themselves on Queens Boulevard. And I want you to describe what we've done to try and make sure that when bicyclists are in those bike lanes, they are safe.
So
Along
Queens Boulevard, we installed protected bike lanes along Queens Boulevard.
Explain for everyone what a protected bike lane is.
So what we did was we put some bollards, plastic bollards, which give motorists a cue that we have cyclists traveling there. In other parts of the borough and in the city, sometimes we put things like Jersey barriers, which could add an additional level of protection. But for Queens Boulevard, we felt with our engineers that the bollards were an appropriate treatment. And since we installed the bike lanes on Queens Boulevard, we have seen a 120% increase of cyclists riding along the boulevard, and the safety statistics speak for themselves.
So that's just to answer the first point. I just want to say that your question is very helpful and very sincere. We do believe that Queens Boulevard bike lane was constructed for safety, but I'm interested in your proposal, even though I think it's really, really tough to achieve. I'm interested in it. I will go back and have a conversation with my team about whatever way we can most encourage helmet use. It may be a law. I suspect it may be other ways, but I want to follow up on it. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Freddy Roldan. The reason that I'm talking about today is about the Queens Community House. And I just want to thank to Mayor de Blasio and the council for putting back the money for everybody and the adult education that we are getting. That's the reason that I was trying just to thank to everybody of the government who's making this is possible. And thanks for giving me the right way to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who's got it? There we go.
My name is Gurdev Singh Kang. I represent the Sikh community. First of all, I thank you, Mayor. You coming to the town hall meeting. You appointed me as a human rights commissioner. And second thing is, our 102 precinct doing the great job in the Queens. And the only one we feel the problem because, Mayor, you start the program NC ID card. It's very helpful for all the communities. But now our president, Mr. Trump, they're making the people nervous, and a lot of people don't have still the NYC ID card because they have an expired passport. And your people staff don't accept the expired passport because Indian consulate, they don't extend the passport because they have undocumented aliens.
Thank you very much. It's an important point.
I like to be, please, recommendation, the people has a passport, even the expired passport, give him the new NYC ID. This way he can enjoy the other people.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for your leadership in the community. I appreciate it. Nisha, it's a very interesting question. How do we deal with if someone only has an expired passport from another country?
Sure. So in some cases, we do accept those expired passports. What I would recommend that we do is, one, come to the community and provide a workshop where we can work with people to figure out what documents they can use. If not the passport, there may be other documents that we use. So I'll follow up with you and the earlier questioner as well on that issue, and would love to hear your feedback for other documents.
So Nisha will set up a meeting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You good? It's on. It's on.
Really?
Yes, we can hear you. Just speak loud.
Well, okay. Thank you very much for coming, both of you, to hear our issues.
Yes.
I am a member of the Queens Democratic County Committee. I am a member of Politics Reborn, and I am a resident of Parkwood Estates in Northeast Queens. And we have a property tax problem,
Okay.
a big one. It's been going on, the battle's been going on for like 8 years. And we are being assessed as commercial property. The condos in, I'm sure you know all about this.
I cannot tell a lie. I don't know this one. You're being assessed as commercial even though you're
We are
residential?
being assessed, the co-ops and condos in Queens are being assessed as cooperative, as commercial properties.
Okay.
And our particular complex is only 5% rental and 95% ownership. And we had an increase last January, and we're getting another big whopper next month in July. And we have seniors in our complex, and we have young families, and we are wondering how we're going to be able to afford to keep paying these increases.
Okay, Parkwood Estates, you said?
Parkwood Estates.
Is finance here? Finance, come on over, just make sure. So let me separate the specific situation from the general approach we're going to take. But
Now,
do you know this specific location?
I do not, but as
This
you're
is
saying,
north. Do you know where the Queens Animal Farm is?
Yes.
In Queens? Well, I live right across the street from it.
Okay. Well,
So between Union Turnpike and Grand Central Parkway on Little Neck Parkway.
well, I hear your issue. You should we should talk about your particular
We
property.
really do need to.
So he's
We
from the
can
Department
review
of Finance. You'll do a follow-up discussion. To
We
see
need to be-
So, but the bigger point, if I may, the bigger point is, what I've said is we're going to have to do a total review of the entire property tax system because there are a lot of elements of it that are not transparent, are quirky, are uneven, are unfair, and here's the trick. Here's the trick. We're going to have to do this. It's going to take a year or two, I imagine. If the people choose me, I will make that a major priority, but the problem's going to be we have to stay with the same amount of revenue at the end of the day from all of our property tax. We can't lose revenue, but we have to figure out a fair distribution among all different types of owners. So this is something I want to undertake because it's unquestionably true that some people are being treated unfairly under the current system.
Very unfairly.
And so I'm just giving you the truth. Tell me your name again.
Michael Hyman.
Michael will follow up on the specific issues in your buildings, but a bigger overhaul is going to take a very, very large effort working with the City Council.
We need
Thank
to
you.
be, we need to be
Thank you.
assessed as a
He's got it.
separate entity.
Okay.
Not standalone or commercial.
They're going to follow up. Who's up?
Good evening, Mayor de
Good
Blasio.
evening.
Thank you for attending, Commissioner Silver, Karen. Great seeing you guys. In Queens, we have several parks, but in Brooklyn, you have world-class Brooklyn Bridge Park. We have the Rockaways, the beautiful park that was built there. In Manhattan, of course, you have the High Line. Here in Queens, we have a 3.2-mile opportunity. We know that in the 60s, Robert Moses had an engineer fired for proposing the idea of sharing the Van Wyck with a rail line. Now he's turning in his grave because he's been proven wrong. The point I want you to explore is there's a 3.2-mile opportunity for us to have a world-class park, not necessarily at the expense of transportation, but certainly be great for pedestrians, for bird watchers, nature lovers. It's an opportunity that should not be missed, and that would make a wonderful legacy project.
It is fully on my radar screen, and
We'd love to meet with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Mayor. My name is John Quach. I go direct to the question. What do you feel if you lost $5,000 today, something that you didn't do it? What is your feeling?
Not good.
No good. Okay, so that's what happened to me today. I ran up an apartment, and we are on eviction notice. The two roommates, they get the roommate, and they put up a partition wall, very simple. Then they don't get along. They call the building department.
Okay, let me not make it too complex. Are you saying you have a problem with tenants?
No.
No.
The
Just
tenant,
give me the simple one because everyone's waiting. Just give me the quick answer.
the tenant call up, two tenants, they don't get along, roommate. They call up the building department. The building department come give a work without permit. And then I don't know. I get the paper. I go down. I take them off. I go back there. I talk.
So the problem is the building department.
Yeah.
Okay, who's here from buildings? Okay. So we're going to have him follow up with you directly.
5,000. I have.
Okay. You're going to get personal service. He's going to follow up to see what we can do about it. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and staff. My name is Mr. Robert Swan, and I'm a Marine Corps disabled veteran. All right. And I want to find out about when you're going to sign the Article 1303 bill.
You got to tell me what it is. I'm not familiar with it.
That's for, oh damn, excuse me.
That's all right.
That's for the vendors.
The bill that's being discussed in terms of reforming the vending system.
Yes.
Yeah. That bill's not complete. That is an ongoing discussion with the council. I believe that will be resolved in the next few months, but is still being negotiated and has not gone to the floor of the council yet for a vote, to the best of my knowledge. So I think it's a few months away.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, microphone people, come on. There you go.
When you were running for mayor, I walked up to you over at 72nd Street and Broadway and said to you, what are you going to do for the people who are living in rent-stabilized houses? And you promised you would fight for us. And you did. Thank you. This is the first, these increases, I can now still remain in my home. But I'm going to be hit with major capital improvements in the next year and a half where I won't be able to stay in my home. What can you do about that? And what are you going to do for us? Are you going to continue to, with the 2% increases and 0% for those of us who live in rent-stabilized homes?
So we had 2 years where we believed, in terms of the Rent Guidelines Board, that the facts absolutely justified the 0% for 1 year, 2% for 2 years. The Rent Guidelines Board voted this year. It is going to be higher. It's not going to be a 0. They have a range out. I believe it's between 0 and 2% for 1 year, between 2 and 4% for 2 years. I think that's right, but they have not. That's right. They're going to make a final decision, but it'll be within that range. The good news is that is modest compared to what was often the case in the past. So we're going to make a decision. The Rent Guidelines Board will make a decision each year based on the facts. I fundamentally believe, and your question indicates it, that in the past the bias was to landlords. We have evened up the score, and I think you will see when only a modest increase is called for, it will be modest. When a 0 is called for, it will be a 0. When it's a larger increase based on the facts, it'll be larger. But this coming year will be modest. The major capital improvements drives me crazy because we don't have the regulatory power. That's the state. I would like to see that changed. I'd like to see the state either take control of the situation more aggressively or give us more ability to control our own situation. That's something I will certainly fight for. I don't think it'll be achieved this year. I think that's one where changes, larger changes in Albany will open up the door for that. But absolutely, I'm going to keep fighting for rent-stabilized tenants. Thank you.
Still within the topic.
We got one. I'm sorry.
It involves Dree.
Too many people. I'm sorry.
One question.
Who's next?
Finally, I am happy. I have been in this country for 20 years. Have not seen any mayors who worked harder than you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all hard works. I am a founder of one of most popular Bangladeshi cultural organization. We have been trying to have...
Okay, you got to give me a question. We got a lot of people waiting.
Yeah. We have been trying to have a Bangladesh parade for a while. We need mayor's office help to organize this rally, and I went to you to be the Grand Marshal of the rally.
So where are you talking about for a parade?
It's parade for I have the cultural organization.
Okay.
So we need to be the parades.
Okay. Let me have my team follow up. It's the first time here, but they will follow up with you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Blue shirt.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here, but first let me tell you that you're standing next to someone who is astronomically strong, Karen Koslowitz, our councilwoman. My name is Lachman Budhai. I'm the president of the 102nd Police Precinct Community Council and a member of Community Board 9. I was appointed 15 years ago by Councilwoman Karen Koslowitz.
There you go. Consistency. All right, what's your question, sir?
The question is, in 2013, the 102nd Precinct celebrated being 100 year. Neither the police commissioner nor the mayor of the city of New York showed up for 100-year celebration. On the 2nd of August, we will be celebrating Nights Out Against Crime at Victory Park. Will you be attending?
Well, I will be out night out all over the city, but we have not chosen the final locations. So my team, Marco, you're going to take responsibility. We got an invitation to this precinct to be the Queens location for National Night Out. Let's see what we're going to do. Marco will follow up with you. Thank you. Here we go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. How you
I'm fine. I have a letter here for you. That's number one. Number two is my uncle asked me to ask you about the accessory issue. He gets called, he gets picked up, and those GBS doesn't hurry work, and they take him all over the world and misses appointments. If you could do something about it.
Thank you for the question. Accessoride is a major problem. Accessoride is also under the MTA umbrella. So the point is, the state of New York runs Accessoride, but Polly Trottenberg, who again is one of my appointees to the MTA board, is working with the MTA on a plan to increasingly use other options besides the Accessoride vans, including the many forms of for-hire vehicles that now are disabled accessible, so that we can get more vehicles out more quickly to people and end some of this madness. Do you want to add, or is that?
I'll follow
You'll follow
up.
up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Yahya Nassar, and I work in a vendor in this neighborhood. That's for many years.
Get closer.
Many years. But the problem is I don't have my own permit, and this is a big problem for
Don't
us.
have a permit for?
For the food cart, the vendor food cart.
For vending?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is again the same point, that there is a major piece of legislation before the City Council to try and reform the vending system to, we hope, make some licenses available and fix the way things are enforced. That's what we're working on right now.
Because I have been waiting for many years, almost 11 years to have a permit.
We're working on the legislation right now.
Okay,
Thank
you so much.
Thank you. You need a lozenge? There you are.
Good evening. Thank you for coming, Mr. Mayor, and
welcome.
thank you for your efforts in the past.
Just a little closer.
Thank you for your efforts in the past in establishing pre-K, and for your recent efforts in putting gyms into the schools and things like that. I know you have a tremendous problem with affordable housing and trying to create as much as possible. And I know there's been a lot of rezoning coming in. My question is, and I had kind of experienced something when I grew up in Elmhurst, where the neighborhood was overdeveloped to a certain extent. What's in place because a neighborhood is more than just houses, it's the entire infrastructure, the police department, the water, the hospitals. What's in place to make sure this growth will be supported by enough hospital beds, by enough parking, by enough transportation, by enough police, by enough schools? Because right now the schools are the class load and everything.
I got it, and I can tell you the council member is very eagle-eyed on this question. I think the past was not a good guide. A lot of development was allowed with a minimal at best effort to build the infrastructure around it. I honestly believe we're in a far superior situation. When you look at the things that you went down as a list, in terms of policing, We added 2,000 more officers to NYPD in just the last 2 years as an example of keeping up with a growing city. And obviously crime has continually gone down, which means NYPD is doing more and more addressing everyday quality of life concerns and other things as well. They have the bandwidth to do that. In terms of schools, this is always a challenge, but I mentioned there's over 1,000 new school seats that are coming into this one council district, and we're going to continue generating more, and we can actually build school seats or pre-K centers in new development. That's something we're doing more and more, is adding space into development for schools. So when you go down the list, generally I think the planning process has gotten a lot better to address infrastructure needs up front. It's always a challenge, and open space is a particular challenge in this city that will continue to be. But I think there is, generally speaking, a smart vision between the Department of City Planning and the City Council, which watches this, to make sure we are not developing where we can't support it with the infrastructure. So I feel we're on the right track. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate Shirlene McRae, the First Lady of New York City, for destigmatizing mental health. That's so very important.
Thank you very much.
My question is, there's been a lot of concern about the fate of city hospitals, especially in the light of recent layoffs.
Yes.
And since city hospitals serve almost 35% of the underinsured and uninsured, what future holds for our city's healthcare system?
Look, I believe fundamentally that we can save our public hospital system. We have put in, with the help of the City Council, many hundreds of millions of dollars in the last few budgets to stabilize health and hospitals. We have a reform plan to strengthen the long-term financial picture that we've worked out with the labor unions that represent the workers there. There have been a small number of layoffs of senior managerial personnel, but not of the folks who do the actual providing of the medical services. We've said no layoffs to the unionized employees or the medical staffs. And that continues, and I feel very good about that plan. What I worry about, I think you alluded to it, is the federal budget proposal, which would cut Medicaid deeply, and obviously the health care bill that came out of the House of Representatives. Both of those would fundamentally undermine our ability to protect our public hospitals. If either of those moves through anything near their current form, then we have a whole new problem with health and hospitals. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So we're going to fight against the federal budget proposal and the Republican health care bill. There's been a lot of opposition around the country. I think we have a good chance to greatly water them down and minimize the impact. That's the game plan, to fight them and reduce them. Pray that we succeed.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilwoman. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Tendi Sherpa. I'm a General Secretary of United Sherpa Association. In my community, we have like thousands of green cab drivers, and those drivers' request is like they are not allowed to pick up in downtown with the dispatch or e-hail in airport. So their request is like they need to like rule changes or this system, so they could have little better life. This right now there are a lot of big challenges going on. So please, this message.
Thank you. And is TLC here, or are you you're gonna cover too? You said green cabs specifically, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So at DOT, we do work. At DOT, we do work with cab drivers to find relief stations and other places where they can rest and use, the facilities, etc. So I'm happy to speak about several locations with you, and maybe there's something we can do for you.
He's talking about the overall rules for where they can go and where they can pick up fares and one thing and another. Let's make sure that we have the TLC follow up with you directly and hear your concern. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Rachel Chagall. I have a question about the transportation. The roads became like impossible. Access from Queens
to Manhattan and back is a nightmare.
Just keep the microphone near your mouth. There you go.
Is there a timetable for ending these ending constructions in Midtown Tunnel? The exit from Midtown Tunnel, from the exit from the Midtown Tunnel in Manhattan, the exit from the upper roadway way of Ed Koch Bridge, the Triborough Bridge going from Queens to Manhattan.
Okay, so what you're talking, hold on, that's all we can handle right there. So you're talking about a number of places in Queens.
All of them, all the access, and then it's like 2 hours drive to Manhattan.
Okay, I got you.
Because all they're getting to the bridge, to the Queensboro Bridge. We're not so lucky to begin with, like Brooklyn, to have 3 bridges and a tunnel. We have 1 bridge and 1/3 of a bridge.
got you.
The RFK we share with Westchester and Bronx.
I got you. Thank you. So the point is, we are working right now. He needs that back. Thank you. We are working right now on, the Department of Transportation is leading the way on a plan to reduce congestion all over the city. It will not be a miracle plan because the congestion problem is we have over 8.5 million people and we are still growing. What we are trying to do is open up as many mass transit options. That's still the #1 best thing we can do for the city. That's why we're adding ferry service, more select bus service, hopefully light rail, these kind of options. But we also believe we can do some things that really will help to reduce congestion in some parts of the city. That plan is coming out in the course of the next few months. There's also some places where there's state construction, and we're trying to get that sped up and improved. So yes, a lot is going to be done to address congestion problems. It will not be cured overnight, but we think we can make some real progress.
Bueno, señor Bill de Blasio, es un gusto estar con usted aquí. Y mi nombre es Policarpo Cortés. Yo soy un vendedor ambulante, miembro del proyecto Street Vendor Project, y le traigo un mensaje para que nos ayude con los permisos, porque, por ejemplo, nosotros contribuimos a la ciudad.
Okay, who's got the translation? You got him? Okay. Go ahead. Why don't you let him do a translation on that piece? Go ahead.
Major de Blasio, it's a pleasure to say hi to you. I'm a street vendor, and I'm bringing a message from you in order to help us with the permits, because we are people who is contributing to the city.
Pagamos nuestros impuestos y también llega al Departamento de Salud, nos confisca nuestros productos, nos tira a la basura todos nuestros productos, y nosotros es lo que queremos, que nos ayude para los permisos, porque nomás tenemos la licencia y ahorita queremos que nos ayude usted con los permisos para trabajar bien.
Okay. You translate and then I'll answer.
We pay our taxes, and the Department of Health confiscates our products and throws them away into the trash. And that's why we want your help right now to help us with the permits, because we're suffering that because we don't have a license.
Okay. I thank you.
Eso es lo que quería decirle. Gracias.
We got it. Thank you. And again, I'm going to answer this question, but I want to say to everyone, we're running out of time, so I'm trying to get quick questions and give you quick answers, okay? So this is also a part of the reform package on vending that the City Council is considering to give people opportunities to get licenses, but also to create a stronger enforcement process for anyone who does have a license.
That young lady? Yes.
Thank you so much. I think this is so super awesome. I just love it.
Not just awesome, super awesome. Okay. It's
awesome.
super awesome.
My name is Tiffany Pierce, and I am a homeschool mom. I used to actually work at the SCA, so I know all of the work that you've been doing, because I was one of 2 people to help train everyone that has a contract.
Excellent.
Great job. So I'm a small business owner, and so nervous. I look across Askin Avenue, and I'm thinking, oh, I really want a space within one of the storefronts because a lot of
Okay, we got to get to a question.
are closed because rent is too high. What can small businesses do to have alternative spacing because the rent is so high?
Right.
I can't afford it.
The rent is incredibly high, and but I'm saying I want to be real and straightforward. We've got a space problem in New York City, and that creates the rent problem. There are some instances where the city has been able to create broader commercial space and make it available to people. That's not everywhere. I want to be, again, straightforward. Some places we've been able to, but in other places we couldn't. The bottom line is we try and provide a lot of incentives, so opportunities for contracting to give people the income to be able to afford space. That's what we do through a lot of minority and women-owned business programs, and small business services can talk to you about that. But the second thing is, in terms of the spaces themselves, we've reduced a lot of the burden on people who rent spaces for their stores. They used to be fined very frequently, very heavily. We've reduced those fines now already 40%. We're going to keep driving them down. So for a lot of small business owners, that makes it bluntly a lot more affordable to have a space. So those are examples. Small business services will follow up with you. Thank you.
The woman in the red sweater.
Red sweater, red sweater. There we go.
Okay. Muy buenas noches, señor alcalde. La verdad estoy muy contenta que esté aquí.
Hold on, we want to get the translator over to you. Okay, go ahead.
Estoy muy contenta que esté aquí y la verdad es que lo que yo quiero decir es que haya más respeto, que no haya tanta agresividad con las personas que trabajan en el parque de Flushing.
Okay, let her have that. Is this just clarifying, is this about vending or something else?
This is about vending, and she wants people, the officers or whoever are in charge, to be respectful and not be aggressive towards unlicensed vendors.
It's the same question. I mean, you just can't keep repeating the same answer. We're going to follow up on the instance that you told us about, and there's a piece of legislation being worked on to reform the vending system. Come on, we got to keep moving to other people.
Thank you.
Get it close to you so people can hear you.
Thank you. My concern is like you believe that school, college should have a more dorming system, like the children have a high rent, and the tuitions are. So if you build a more dorming, like children can stay and study.
What level of school are you talking
College.
about? College. So that would be ideal, but again, you know, most of our colleges, the private ones have built dormitory space, the public ones really can't so easily. The public, the CUNY schools are run again by the state of New York, and I don't think they're in a position to build the kind of dormitory space we'd ideally want. So that, I think, is the honest answer. Okay, who else?
Hey, Mayor de Blasio. The Village Voice a couple months ago had an article that showed that undocumented immigrants were being deported out of New York because of broken windows, quality of life offenses. You've said in the past that you want to defend New York City as a sanctuary city, but how can New York City be a sanctuary city when people are getting deported out of it because of broken windows policies?
I think that, with all due respect to the Village Voice, I don't think that represents the larger reality we're facing. The question in all this is what is the federal government doing in terms of deportation right now? Well, some cases we see them deporting people who have no criminal offense at all. So that has no connection point to broken windows. In other cases, they are deporting people who have done very serious crimes. That has no connection point to broken windows. The theoretical connection is that somehow ICE is finding someone who did a minor offense and pursuing that. We just don't have a lot of evidence of that. I'm telling you what I know. So but look, you have to decide if you want to look into the facts or not. If you don't want to, that's cool, but I'm telling you what I know. This is not what is driving ICE's actions. I have a fundamental disagreement with ICE is doing. This is not the problem. The broken windows approach is being, I think, unfairly characterized as the one of the past when it isn't. The number of arrests has gone down constantly. Example, low-level marijuana possession used to be arrest. It's not arrest anymore, it's summons. Summons doesn't give any information to ICE. We have to be clear, ICE doesn't get information if there isn't an arrest. Arrest happens only if there's a more serious charge. So I'm going to argue strongly, I get the ideological bias, but I don't think people are connecting the facts to see that this is not what is driving the problem we have with ICE.
Okay, all right. Gentlemen.
Mr. Mayor, the last time we spoke, I asked you for $700 million, as you may recall.
A colorful request.
For Queens Rail.
Yes.
And suggested planting grass on Woodhaven Boulevard. But today I'd like to talk about the EDC's downtown Far Rockaway policy. I don't know if you're aware that they have a plan to completely destroy Far Rockaway. The problem in Far Rockaway is that there's no parking. So EDC wants to take the available parking and build 15-story apartment buildings in context with a neighborhood where the highest building is 5 stories. So I would ask you, you can look on my website, the Bayswater Civic Association website, and you can see what the issues are. EDC has been, at the minimum, recalcitrant.
Okay, let me, just in the interest of time, Leiden, what do you say to the charge that we are taking away the parking and that's going to make it economically not viable?
I respectfully disagree. We have worked very closely with the downtown Far Rockaway community. As part of the plan that we've developed, there is significant parking along the new street that we are planning for. There's parking around the sides of it.
Not on private streets, and no one is going to go to
Okay, it's not a back and forth. He's answering your question, and then we're going to keep moving. Go ahead. He's in the middle of answering, my friend. Let him finish. We listen politely to you, listen politely to him.
There are parking regulations that are part of the development scenario that we are contemplating. There's also new parking that we're creating on a brand new street that we are allowing to go through the new section that we are going with. While we acknowledge that there will be a loss in parking from the removal of the shopping center there, we do believe that we have a plan to replace a significant amount of it and a plan that fits the needs of the...
You'll follow up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. I wanted to follow up on that lady's comment before about businesses being very high rent. I'm seeing a lot of instances in our neighborhood, more and more lately, where there are like whole blocks full of vacancies because the rents are too high for businesses to go there, but the property owners are more incentivized and actually make more money keeping them empty than they would by filling them with a business at a more affordable rent. And I want to know what we can do to turn that around so that our neighborhood doesn't become a ghost town with no businesses.
You're right on the money. So this one really bugs me. I'm glad you're raising it. It's happening in many neighborhoods. I think it is all about what I say very bluntly is a contradiction in the free enterprise system, that our legal system doesn't allow me to fix the way I'd like to. I don't think it should be allowed to have, a storefront sitting there all that time and undermining a neighborhood. But the laws do allow it. Now, honestly, I think there's a limit to it, because the speculative landlords that think by holding out they're going to get a higher rent, if that doesn't happen in a fairly reasonable period of time, then they end up actually losing money. So at some point they have to break and actually rent the thing. But honestly, this is one we don't have a good solution for yet. I'm searching for one because it's all over the city. I would love to have the city government have the power to put some kind of time limit on it. But the blunt challenge is that's against a lot of the way our legal system works that favors property rights. So we're still looking for that solution. Thank you. White sweater.
I'm white sweater.
That's close enough.
Hi. The intersection.
A little higher.
The intersection of Jewel Avenue and Yellowstone Boulevard is a very dangerous intersection.
Jewel Avenue and Yellowstone Boulevard.
Yes. The cars come down Yellowstone, they cross Queens Boulevard and go up Jewel Avenue. The cars make right turns from Queens Boulevard and come up Jewel Avenue. The cars make left turns from Queens Boulevard.
What do you think we should do?
I don't know.
We did a lot. We did do
honest.
a lot there. We did do a lot there. The cars used to make a left-hand turn. They weren't supposed to. They would come out of the garages and go on the wrong way street with DOT.
And we put some bollards there. We did ban the left turns, as a council member said, and that was particularly done because of the high senior community. It was part of our Safe Streets for Seniors initiative. But I'm happy to meet with you, take another look at the intersection, and see if we can do some more improvements.
You're the Borough Commissioner, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole is the Borough Commissioner for Department of Transportation. She is going to come and meet with you personally to inspect the situation right there. Will you take her on a tour and show her? Say yes. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Our Mayor, de Blasio.
Sir.
You are the best mayor of the New York City.
Yeah, I'm the only one, so
We feel
I
proud
guess I
for
better
you.
be the best.
And my question is, you did a historical to eat for Muslim people.
Thank you.
Thank you again this. And I like to this is the New York City part of the Long Island. Our friends, they are living over there, their kids going to the school, but they are missed the to eat day. If
Right.
possible, if you do something for them, then we are so proud for you.
Thank you. I don't
Thank
know if
you
I
very
can.
much.
I don't know if I can help, but I hope we're leading by example.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Right here.
Thank you. Hi, I have a son that's in kindergarten, and he's actually in a trailer that's been sitting there for over 10 years. So I know someone mentioned earlier about trailers. PS206 right here has had trailers for 10 years.
Yep.
Additionally, he got accepted to Gifted and Talented for the upcoming school year, and there are no seats for him. So when and where are these schools opening?
Okay. My name is Lorraine Grillo. I'm the president of the School Construction Authority, and we're working very, very hard to provide seats for this district. We understand the overcrowding issue. In September 2019, there'll be an addition opening at PS 303. There will be an addition opening at 144. We are also looking to potentially do an addition at 196. We're doing a feasibility study right now. So we're working very, very hard to make this happen. But until we can find those spaces for those children that are in those trailers, we obviously can't remove them. So we're really, really working, and we're always, always interested in hearing any suggestions from the community.
Let me add, the goal is to eliminate all trailers. That's our standing goal. That's what's in the budget, to consistently move kids out of trailers. It has been happening steadily. Tell me the site you're at again? 206. Okay. So will you follow up on if we have a game plan for the timeline there? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
And good evening, Forest Hills. Before I begin, I want to thank you for letting me answer the question. You're a great human being. Bless your heart. And you are an excellent mayor. Thank you for helping my children. I was at the town hall
Yes,
meeting, as
you
you
were.
remember, and I made you blush, and I'm very sorry. You have a lovely smile. Thank you so much for helping the children all of New York City. Because of them, you made the AC possible. But this whole question is a follow-up. Pretty please. I like to think I put the bug in your head when, and I think I did, 2 weeks later you did, and the first school in New York City, you put AC where my children's school, PSMS 219 in District 25, that has a high number of disabled children with IEPs, the Nest Horizon program.
You have another question?
This is the follow-up to it.
Okay.
And I'm asking you to really get involved, to order the School Construction Authority and Carmen Ferrania to make it a priority that all disabled children first get the air conditioning because of their disabilities.
Okay, pause 1 second. Tell me your name again, my friend.
My name is Mike Onadiello. I actually work for you. I'm a DP employee, and I love you.
And I love you too. I love your devotion to our city. Mike
Onadiello. I'm a Nardiello.
Okay,
like
I do want to give you some
cello.
credit. I'm going to give you some credit. So, Karen, you'll appreciate this. Mike, which town hall were you at? Do you remember?
It was at the Leonardo da Vinci School, Julissa Ferris.
Okay. So, Mike is definitely half right. Now, I used to be, when I was a school board member way back when, I saw the problems with the lack of air conditioning, so I've had this feeling for a long time.
You're a caring man.
But Mike gets a lot of credit because he was at a town hall meeting a couple of months ago, and he was wearing the same cap, and he got up and said, we have to have air conditioning in all our classrooms, and Mike is right. That did put the bug in my ear right in the middle of the budget process. So we now are going to have air conditioning for every classroom in New York City. Give Mike a round of applause. Go, Mike. Now, Good Citizen Award, Mike. Now, for the question, for the question of how we prioritize schools with substantial special needs populations.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And Mike and I have been in constant contact for the last couple of weeks, and you have provided me some of those lists. And we are reviewing that, and we were trying very, very hard to prioritize. There are a lot of issues here. Some schools need electrical upgrades. Some schools need power brought into the buildings. All of those things will happen, and we're working very, very quickly. And in those different categories, we will prioritize those schools that have a large special ed population.
I thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're a saint. And I pray you get re-election in gigantic numbers.
I like the way you think, Mike.
I like the way you think. You're a real professor.
Thank you, brother.
I love you, my man.
It's been a long wait. Thank you, Mayor. I grew up here and I intend to stay here, but I'm trying to ask you, as the face of New York, what's the value for someone who's less than 30 to remain here on the constant price rise? I pay more for subways over the last 10 years, more tolls, more for roads, but I don't really see the service going up. So what is the incentive for me to continue to stay here? It's my home.
Yep.
Why should I not move to Jersey, but stay here and keep paying more and not get the services back?
I'm going to argue with you. In the best sense of the word. I appreciate the question. I really do. And I have a 22-year-old who is trying to make a life here on her own and experiencing a lot of the same challenges. But let me break it down for you. The investments that you're seeing. So we're the safest big city in America, which is a very big deal in getting safer, and all that investment was worth it. We have, even with its problems, the best mass transit system anywhere in the country. We are repaving more roads than ever before. We have an extraordinary parks system, and we're doing a lot to try and improve it. When you look at all the things, those are all great amenities. But the number one reason I would argue for anyone is we have the most jobs we have ever had, over 4.3 million jobs, and increasingly, finally, we're starting to see wage growth, and we as administration are focused on building higher wage jobs. So I would argue, even though, yeah, you could come in from New Jersey, but that's what we call a schlep, I would argue we have more opportunity than any place else in the country, and all of the culture, everything else we have to offer. It's harder to live here than other places, but I also believe you get a lot more back for it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mamadou. I'm a first year, I finished my first year in college.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's amazing to see you for the first time. TV, it's not the same thing. But
no, this is live.
Yes.
See, you can touch me. It's all.
So I go to a SUNY school, and originally I thought about going to CUNY, but for CUNY you don't get the free Metro card, and you have to pay that out of pocket. And financial aid is real expensive, and people shouldn't get tickets for trying to go to school. Nobody should be penalized.
So what's your question?
So my question is, Why isn't the MTA providing CUNY students free Metro cards?
Okay. So it's a very fair question. That gets back ironically to the fact, remember, MTA run by the state of New York, CUNY run by the state of New York. Neither one is run by the city, even though people naturally think they are. I wish they were. But we have to be very careful that the state live up to its responsibilities. Something like that is something they could and should, in my opinion, pay for. But the fact is, of the choices we have to make in terms of the city budget, there were other things that we just felt bluntly were more urgent that we had to attend to. So I know you're right, there's a lot of CUNY students who would greatly benefit from it. It's not something we could reach in our budget. We do think the MTA should take responsibility for it. We've been pushing them to do things like that so far with no success, but we will keep pushing. Thank you. Now we're going to start, and the time is starting to wind down. What's the time check? 9:40. Okay, so council member, I'll just say in front of everyone, we have until 10 o'clock at the latest. So it's 9:40 now. Let's keep moving, see how many people we can get.
Gentleman in the blue shirt in the back.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to Queens. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I live a couple blocks from Woodhaven Boulevard, and I ride the bus on Woodhaven just about every day. And for as long as my 8-year-old has been alive, the city's been talking about making improvements to the boulevard. And so my question to you is relatively simple. When are we going to get SBS on Woodhaven Boulevard?
Nicole, when are we going to get SBS?
This fall, in November, we're looking for a launch. So thank you for all of your support. And along with the mobility improvements, we are addressing a number of safety concerns along the corridor.
Starting this fall. There's your answer. Go ahead.
This gentleman right here.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Blasio. My name is Jacob Shargal. I live in Kew Gardens more than 20 years. When I bought my house, my property tax was about 0.3% of the value of the house. In the last 4 to 5 years, the property taxes on my house jumped like 3%. Now I'm paying about 1.2% of the value of the house. My question to you is why in the last 4 to 5 years, property taxes on my house went up so much?
To the best of my understanding, it is because of the steadily, intensely increasing values on property all over the city. So the bad news is, again, let me give you an answer as best I know it. What's happened in a lot of the city has been the increase in value, which is a good thing. I'm a homeowner too. It's a good thing in the bigger scheme of things. It's a bad thing because it affects your property tax level. My two answers to you. One, as I said before, if I get the opportunity to remain as mayor, we're going to undertake an entire review of the property tax system to try and create more fairness and rationality in the system. That's what we're going to try and do. Now, whether it's something you'll like in the end is another question, but we're going to try and create a more equitable system. The second is, what we have avoided is very important. 4 years in a row, there has not been a rate increase, and I'm very devoted a property tax rate increase. In other words, the increases you've experienced and anyone's experience is based on assessments, not on the rate, the actual property tax rate. We have kept that stable, and we intend to continue that. Hi. Hey.
My name is Lorena, and I live in Rego Park. And my daughter's going to UPK right now, so
Excellent.
we're enjoying that.
Do you like
very
it?
much. Yes, we love it.
Excellent.
And but we do have to walk about a mile out of the way because the one that's near us is not great. But thank you for that, and thank you for the new, what's going to be the
3K.
3K
Yeah.
and the new library that.
Oh, the new library.
that you
Okay,
mentioned.
excellent.
I got chills when you said it. It's awesome.
You heard it here first.
So I have a suggestion and a question. The suggestion for the empty businesses along Queens Boulevard that have been vacant for years, 7 years plus. Maybe a tax or a fine for leaving them because there's a lot of rubbish around in front of their vacant units.
That's interesting.
So something along those lines. Also, so the question I have is about school lunches. I would love to see school lunches across the board like you do in the summer. You have breakfast and lunch. I'd love to see that. Is that something in the works?
So worked with the council a lot on this. The council's been very adamant on this issue, to their credit. On breakfast, we now have added all schools, elementary schools and elementary schools that are within, longer ones like elementary plus middle. All elementary level schools now get free breakfast in the first period of instruction in addition to before classes begin. So there's lots of progress been made on elementary schools for breakfast. For lunch, we just added additional resources to reach more kids for free, but we also went at what we bluntly believe is the bigger problem during the school year, which is the quality of the lunches, because a lot of kids, including kids who get them for free, are not eating them. So we believe the plan that was agreed on with the City Council will get at how to get a lot more kids to actually eat lunch, which is the ultimate goal. We think we're going to make progress with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming around, trying to go fast.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This question is
Closer,
not about,
closer.
This question is not about school, or it's a personal question.
Okay.
I'm senior. I'm working downstairs just in 20 hours.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is regarding my husband, which is a victim of Hurricane Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
We knock many doors, many years, and we lost not property, not
Okay,
house.
tell me fast because we've got a lot of people waiting.
Yeah.
You need help. It's a Sandy-related issue.
Yes, Sandy-related
And you need
issue.
financial help.
We need many things.
Okay.
you know.
Nick behind you will follow up with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather.
You have to speak and film at the same time.
My mother wanted this. she's
Hi,
a big
Mom.
fan.
How you doing?
She lives in Florida. So my question is basically for the rent stabilization, you didn't increase it. You only did a 0 or 2%.
Right.
But that affected us fair market tenants because my rents as a fair market tenant has gone up $150 a year.
Why? I'm sorry.
mean,
why do you assume it's affected it?
Because I asked my landlord.
Your landlord made that decision. It's not a legal thing. Just so you know.
I
Okay.
understand.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you going to do for fair market tenants? Because I've been on your lottery to try to get fair market housing, to get better housing, have had no results.
Okay. So this is I'm going to tell you and your mother the real truth. Okay. So we have different ways we can help people to have an affordable experience in New York City. With the almost 2.5 million people who are rent stabilized, we've done something I think very, very big by making the rules on the rent increases fair, and you saw it in terms of what happened with those zeros for the increase. That's almost 2.5 million people. We have an affordable housing plan that will reach another 500,000 people. But yes, it's by a lottery, and it's not always a satisfying experience because so many people want affordable housing. But every single day, the lottery continues and more people are benefiting. It will ultimately reach 500,000 people. So out of a city of 8.5 million people, that's a lot of people. Right, and I'm not belittling the challenge. So my point is, can we reach every person with a perfect affordable solution? No, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to ever lie to people about that fact. But we can reach a lot of people. And so what we're doing, we believe, is not only going to get direct opportunities to affordable housing to 500,000 people, also as we're building more, we do think it helps to push down prices in private housing as well. We don't have a perfect way to help someone who's not rent stabilized, hasn't gotten into one of our affordable housing units. That's the private market. We don't reach that. That's the honest truth. But I think the sum total of what we're doing is, we know for a fact it will reach almost 3 million people. I gotta stay there so everyone gets a chance. Or as many people as possible. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Where am I looking? Okay,
Hi,
there you go.
How are you?
Good.
I'm a history teacher, and I have a two-part thing. It's one thing you know, one thing you don't know.
Okay.
Our city's history is in danger. By sometimes developers are trying to get around laws in order to build more developments there.
I know that.
The thing you don't know is that many of our schools, older schools, have Depression-era art in them, which many of which is falling apart or has to be hidden away in offices where no one can see them. So why don't we have something where we take this art from the schools and put them somewhere where we
You
can
mean
see
actual works of art or murals, or what do you mean?
Murals and works of art.
Okay. So I want to say, Lorraine Grillo, head of the School Construction Authority, will answer your question. I just want to say I admire your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool. Jimi Hendrix shirt, very nice.
It's a great shirt. Actually, there's an organization that is part of the School Construction Authority, and it's Public Art for Public Schools. And we actually have a director that goes to some of these schools to try to restore a lot of this artwork. So I'd like to get in touch with you, and you can give me some ideas of where you think that this art is. We've been doing an excellent job. As a matter of fact, it's on our website if you could take a look at the historic art that we've restored.
I mean, and some of it too, though, it's like...
Hey, wait, we got to keep going to other people. She's got you. She'll follow up.
We're from the zone of PS 196.
A little bit closer.
We're from the PS 196 zoned community school. And as you know, there's a wait list. There's a wait list that's been there for many, it could be almost a decade. And I just want to say it was reported by the comptroller in 2009 that there would be shortfalls past 2012, even based on planned additions to PS 196. Yep. Now, despite the addition that was not going to cure the problem, you put, and I love pre-K, but there are local community organizations that are happy to take pre-K students. My child is in one of them. Mm-hmm. And yet there are still pre-K classrooms set aside when there are kids on the wait list every year.
Very fair question. So I will start by saying, one, so I actually think you have a lot of merit in your question, so I want to just be clear. You're going to hear me explain something. It's not a blow-off because I'm trying to get to your point. One, wait lists for New York City elementary schools are very rare, and when it happens, something's wrong. So the good news is it's very rare. The bad news is it's happening to you. Two, and this is one of the ones. Is this one of the ones you do have additional help coming on? Just give me a yes or no on that.
Not yet. We're
okay,
looking at
that's okay.
We're looking
so either way you slice it, pre-K, we actually are supposed to look at pre-K and what it will do to the overall school. And if there is an alternative, and sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't, there's a lot to be said for moving the pre-Ks into another setting. Now, I want to tell you, give you a different view that some parents have. Some parents would argue against that and would say they really want the pre-K in the building, even if it comes with the wait list. But I would argue that it's worth looking at if there's a way to consider pulling out the pre-Ks to open up more space and find an alternative location for the pre-Ks in community-based organizations. That's me thinking out loud. What do you know?
Well, I actually do know that there is an issue and a wait list at 196. We are doing things throughout the district, and once these additions at 303 and 144, a rezoning will go along with that. So there will be a change in the configuration. At the same time, we're looking at 196 for a possible another addition. There is a huge pre-K population, as the mayor said earlier. This year, I think unexpectedly, we went from 100 children to 1,500 children.
In this council
in this
district.
particular council district. So we're looking for space. We're always looking for small pre-K.
But we'll
space.
finish this by saying, I want you to follow up directly, and I do think the option of considering an alternative site for the pre-Ks is worth evaluating.
And I just want to say I'm working with the principal. I've been at the school many times, and I'm working with the school
Lorraine.
construction.
Good. Thank you.
Same.
They're together. Okay, we can't do the same topic again. We just did it. Okay, we got to get a lot of people. Who are you going with?
Hi. First of all, we're so excited about the new bike lanes on Queens Boulevard, and we hope you'll work with us to extend the network. And anyway, the question is, we were wondering if there's a concrete timeline for the city bike expansion to central and eastern Queens. We think more people would benefit.
Is there a concrete timeline for the city bike expansion to central and eastern Queens? I don't know the answer to that.
So I know that's under discussion, just bike share in general, but what I will say is that we are looking very much forward to bringing City Bike to Astoria, before the end of the year.
But we don't know yet for central Queens.
For central Queens.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
We
eastern
don't know the
Queens.
answer for-
That's correct, but I can
She will follow up. We do not have a concrete timeline, no, but she will follow up with you on what we're doing to try and get there. Thank you. Okay, we're running out of time. We're in the last 9 minutes. 9 minutes left, Karen. Only 9 minutes left. You want? Are you asking a picture?
Yes.
Good. Good. That was impressive. You do it all, brother. Thank you. Okay. Who's got the next question? No. Did you get one? No. Anyone who's gotten a question, we need to keep moving. We need new people who haven't gotten a question. You are doing a lot to get attention. Okay.
Hi, Mayor de Blasio. My name is Ashley Arancibia. My parents became homeowners here in Rego Park. I was raised here in Rego Park.
Question, please.
Question. So I graduated last year from Bard High School, Early College, Queens.
Congratulations. Great school.
Thank you. It's a good place. Look into it. And I just wanted to talk about Thompson Avenue because it's a very...
The safety issues?
Yes.
Yes.
My professor actually got hit on the way to one of our
We
classes.
actually announced at a previous town hall meeting in another council district that we're putting $17 million into safety repairs on Thompson Avenue right
Yay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey. Have you gone yet already?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, Mayor. I'm Fabian Enriquez. I'm from Local 3. You know that we're on a strike.
Yes.
We've been on a strike for 3 months. I'm tired. My shoes are worn out.
We're doing questions. We are with you
picket line.
100%.
Yes, thank you for standing up New Year One.
Yes, we enjoyed that.
We've been in the shadows. Thank you. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Yes, sir.
You said from that interview, as mayor, I'm ready to step in.
Yes.
Please, Mayor, step in. We are out there. We are in the rain. We got mortgages.
I'm finishing. I got just to get to everyone else.
Can you push it?
Listen, my friend. I've told your union leadership repeatedly that we are ready. If they want to come to the table at City Hall with Spectrum, we will do that. We are evaluating the franchise agreements to see if there's any options that give us. So we're going to anything we can do right now. We've told the union we're ready to do. Thank you. Okay, but while you're calling on someone.
So good evening.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to see you here. You are in my community. Thank you for coming here. My question is this: what the office of the mayor is doing for the youth? I have 2 teenagers that are looking forward to work this summer for the first time, but they want to work in their community of Queens. And if they are able to find a job in Rego Park, Forest Hills, Middle Village, they will be very happy. What is the office of the mayor doing for them? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that is looking for a job for the kids.
Yeah, and
also, you could count on us. We are with the 1199 SCIU.
Oh, wonderful.
We love you. We support you.
Thank you.
You came.
There you
Okay,
go.
we want to give you this button today.
I accept. Thank
Unity
you.
empowered. And for everybody here in this community, alone we cannot do anything.
Thank you.
With him as our mayor for the second term, we will be able
Thank you.
to do everything that is
very
needed.
much.
Thank
You're
you.
very kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wait a minute. I'm trying to answer her question. Thank you.
How about one more?
So a
That
quick
lady-
answer is the council's put a big focus on summer youth employment programs, and they just expanded them to 70,000 seats for this summer. Still not the ideal number, but it's a lot more than it's ever been. So maybe your child can apply to that as one option.
The last question.
The last question. The last question has been declared.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Please do what you can to help the carriage horses.
Okay. I'm not sure which position you're taking on the matter. Do you mean to end the carriage horses, or what do you mean? Yeah, my position is the same as it's been. I believe strongly that there should be a ban. Thank you. All right. Karen, last words?
Thank you so very much. I think we covered a lot of people and their
Thank you.
questions. And you saw the reception you got
Thank you,
here.
everyone. Good
Thank
evening.
you.